Good morning. My name is Brent Moore, Executive Director of the Children's Safety Village, and on behalf of the Board of Directors and staff, we'd like to thank you for coming out to our water safety awareness event. School is out in about a month, and it's getting warmer, and we have a group of speakers here who'd like to share some important information about water safety. This is an annual event that we do, and we're hoping that the information we provide helps us out tremendously. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Captain Jeff Eifler of the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming to the Children's Safety Village of Central Florida for the 6th Annual Water Safety Awareness Event. The Children's Safety Village is a nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to the vision of making Central Florida the safest community for our children. For nearly 25 years, it has been one of the community's leading authorities for childhood safety programs. The mission of the Children's Safety Village is to prevent injuries and fatalities of children through life-saving education and advocacy and leadership. It serves children and adults in the Central Florida area through field trips, outreach programs, and special events. The village is operational year-round. It has a miniature city on site with child-sized buildings, paved streets, sidewalks, crosswalk signals, a functioning traffic light, railroad crossings, fire safety houses, and a water safety complex. The programs allow children to practice safety through hands-on interactive activities and role-play exercises here at the facility. Summer vacation, and here in Florida, the summer season can be one of the most dangerous times for water-related accidents and deaths among children and adults. So we take this time to come together to bring attention to water safety and to stress the importance of proper pool safety and the importance of swim lessons, particularly for our children. According to the CDC, about 1 in 5 people who die from drowning are children aged 14 or younger. For every child who dies of drowning, another 5 receive emergency care for non-fatal submersion injuries. Children younger than 5 years of age have the highest drowning rates. And in 2017, among children under age 15 who died from drowning, more than 70% were under the age of 5. In children ages 1 to 4, drownings occur mostly in home swimming pools, and it is responsible for more deaths of children than any other cause with the exception of birth defects. In 2017, 51 children in the state of Florida drowned in either a pool or a spa. Many of these incidents occurred here in Orange County. We have a simple message. All of these incidents are preventable. That's why we are all here today. This summer, we're asking for our parents and others to please be vigilant around any type of water so that we can all enjoy our summer activities safely. We are fortunate to have some very special guests here today, all of whom are working towards the same goal of eliminating or lowering child drowning fatality and events through Orange County. Please welcome Assistant Fire Chief Laura Lee Avery with the Orange County Fire Rescue.
Thank you, Captain. And I want to thank the Sheriff's Office for also hosting this event today and inviting Orange County Fire Rescue to be a part of such an important message. As first responders, I must acknowledge the most difficult calls that we respond to involve children. While we are firefighters and paramedics who face the worst, so many of us are also parents, aunts, and proud uncles. Here we are today at the beginning of water and pool season, and I stand before you to implore to you as a mother and a first responder, asking for your help to ensure that this is an amazing and memorable summer for our children, which includes protecting them from all harm. You know, as a kid, you couldn't keep me from water. My friends and I were drawn to every pool in proximity. To this day, I look back and fondly look at those experiences. My hope is that all children enjoy these endless summer days and adventures and grow up to share those experiences with their children. While Orange County Fire Rescue has more than 1,300 personnel, many of whom are rescue swimmers, it's simply not enough to keep every little mermaid or merman safe in the water this season. We need all of you. While technically we as Orange County Fire Rescue are the first responders, the reality is so are you. You have the power to prevent a drowning. Saving a child's life does not always come in the form of diving into the water to pull someone to safety or performing CPR in a heart-stopping moment, which is what we are trying to do. But just as important as ensuring the pools are secured with gates, doors, and safety locks, active supervision always in place, and swim lessons successful, which is what all of you can do. Every single drowning call that we respond to is preventable. Last year, it was 44. While most did not end tragically, it proves that it takes a matter of moments when lives can be changed forever. While here at Orange County Fire Rescue, we are proud of our rescue numbers and response times, truth be told, our best outcomes are actually the ones where the need to even call us was prevented by the actions of someone doing the right thing. There is no way to be able to tell just how many lives were saved by a parent or a caregiver who took the extra steps and ultimately prevented tragedy, whether for their child or another. But to us, they are the ones with an even greater power to save a life through prevention. Thank you. I'll turn this over to Dr. Kevin Scherer.
Thank you, Lori. Good morning. The Florida Department of Health in Orange County is committed to protecting the health and safety of children. I have some disturbing facts to share with you today on this subject, which are unfortunate. In the state of Florida, the leading cause of accidental death among children aged 1 to 14 is drowning. In fact, we lead the United States in childhood drownings in the state of Florida. In 2017, 25 children drowned in a pool or spa in Florida. That's the equivalent of a classroom in an elementary school. 88% of children who drown are under adult supervision. That means we weren't watching. And I can tell you that happened to me once in my life too. My 2-year-old daughter almost drowned when she was 2. She'll be 28 this year. 60% of kids who drown are within 10 feet of safety. Increased access to water is a major factor in drowning, and children who live near open water sources such as ditches, ponds, irrigation channels, or pools are especially at risk. So what can we do to prevent childhood drowning? Number one, children need swimming lessons. You know, the YMCA supports that. And so there are lots of places like the Children's Safety Village where swimming lessons can be offered. Number two, we can install pool fences around backyard pools and spas so children can't get over them. In fact, a 4-foot high fence and slats that are 4 inches apart are sufficient to keep children out. Number three is supervision. Let's be water watchers. Let's keep our eyes on the kids. Always swim under the supervision of adults. Number four, look for lifeguards. You know, it's always best to swim in an area which is supervised by the lifeguards. Lifeguards are the last line of defense when all other layers of protection are failing. Number five, wear a life jacket. If children are in a boat or, you know, out on the water, they should have a life jacket. That's the same for us as adults. If you or a family member is a weak or non-swimmer, always wear a life vest. Number six, keep toddlers in shallow play areas. You don't want them to go underwater and to drown. And finally, follow the age and safety and height instructions for water parks use the age and height restrictions to increase pool safety and water park safety. Now, when we are the adults on water duty, when we're watching the children, constantly watch them. Keep your eyes on the children, in and around water, checking that all the gates and doors to the water are locked and 2 or more barriers to the water are in place. That includes making sure the gates, the sliding doors in the home, access to the pool, you can put the safety pins in there to make sure that the children don't get through. Number 3, making sure you have access to rescue equipment and have emergency phone numbers with you. Give this tag that we have today to display to adults who agree to keep their eyes on the water. We want water watchers in this community. Being sure no children are around the water without our presence when we leave. We don't leave an area where children are swimming without making sure there's another competent adult to take over. And finally, learning CPR. If you do have to rescue a child, as I did with mine when she was 2, she went underwater, she twisted over in a floaty. You know, we did perform not full CPR, but the respiratory part of it. So learn CPR. This can save a child's life. Learn the rules of water safety. It's incumbent on us as adults to keep track of our children. Sadly, we've already lost 1 child in the month of April, a 2-year-old here in Orange County. That came up in the Child Abuse Death Review Committee for our judicial district. I do not want to see these statistics anymore. Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce a gentleman who is an advocate for the legal side of childhood safety, Mr. Richard Schwam with Halleck, Serpetus, and Schwam. Richard?
Good morning, everybody. I've had the pleasure of serving on the board at the Children's Safety Village now for 6 years, and I've been asked a few times to talk about this issue, drowning prevention, and what steps can be had to reduce the numbers, reduce the deaths, and to improve child safety and drowning prevention. I'm a husband, a father of 2, a lawyer for 27 years, and a large bulk of my practice has been handling what can best be described as family tragedy cases. Deaths of parents, deaths of children, whether it's in a medical malpractice case or an unfortunate and preventable drowning incident here in the Central Florida area. I've evolved as a lawyer from a lawyer that used to just work 7 to 8 hours a week to now a lawyer that spends time advocating, particularly for the youth of Central Florida, to try to improve child safety. So I'm going to share with you a lawyer's viewpoint. You've already heard quite a few of the statistics about Florida being a leader in the nation in a category in which nobody wants it to lead the nation, and that's in drownings. Every year in the United States, there are approximately 3,500 drownings. Approximately 1,000 of them are children. Nearly half of those children are under the age of 10. So what I want to talk to you about is, number 1, why is this happening? Number 2, what does the law say in Florida as to try to prevent these needless childhood deaths? And what are some recommendations I would have as a medical legal perspective today about drowning prevention? Number 1, what are the causes? The causes include some of the obvious and some not so obvious. One of them is unsupervised children in the pool. But what most people don't realize is that there are too many reported incidents of children drowning in the bathtub at home. When the mother or father steps away to attend to something else that at the moment seems more important and comes back to see a lifeless child floating in their bathtub because they were too busy to pay attention to that child's needs. Another example is the unsupervised younger children who gain access to the pool from the home. And that has to do with the doors, the sliding glass doors from a living room into a pool environment that are not closed or are not locked. Also, there's the unsupervised children actually in the pool area where parents are more focused on their smartphones, which isn't so smart when you think about it, and not focused on the children in the water that are their responsibility. There's drain entrapments, and there's an exhibit toward the back that talks about what a good drain should look like at the bottom of your pool and what a bad drain looks like. And we've heard about the cases of hair entanglement or limb entanglement in the drains that have led to children being lost under the water. And there's also alcohol-related lack of supervision, and we can all envision the scenario of parents enjoying a pool party, but parents are the ones enjoying a good time consuming alcohols poolside while the children are left either unattended or unsupervised. And then obviously it's the kids that don't know how to swim. And you've heard other speakers address the issue of we need to teach our children how to swim. We know about the resources available all across the country to help our children learn how to swim. So what are the laws in Florida about this subject? There are a few, and I won't bore you with much of the details, but do want to give you an overview. Number one, there is a law that governs residential swimming pools. And what the law says is that each pool built, and this is important, after 2000 must have one of 4 safety measures. Now keep that in mind. That's after 2000. The statistics show that more than 80% of the homes in Orlando were built before 2000, despite the heavy growth. So many of these pools are not falling under these requirements, but here's what the requirements are. Number 1, a pool barrier. You heard Dr. Sharon talk about that. Number 2 is a pool cover. Number 3 is an exit alarm, and number 4 is the self-closing, self-latching device. The Department of Health recommends more than one of those be in place. The law requires one of those to be in place, but I think everybody, as you hear that, can say one probably isn't enough. So then we look to the enforcement side. What if you do not comply with this legal requirement? Well, unfortunately, the law doesn't have much teeth in it. The law says that it is a misdemeanor to have a pool that does not have these safety measures, but you won't be punished if you will simply remedy the problem and attend some training, and the charges will be dropped. So again, stronger laws, stiffer penalties certainly would promote more effort by parents and homeowners to ensure these safety measures are in place. Public pools are treated differently. Some of them have lifeguards, some of them don't. They don't fall under that particular law, but there are federal laws having to do with rules related to the drains and the requirements of what is a, quote, good drain and what is a bad drain. Then apartment complexes and resort hotels have different obligations as businesses to provide a safe environment for the families that are paying to stay in those resort areas or to live in those apartment complexes. So, from a lawyer's perspective, how do we see all of this play out in lawsuits? How do we see all of this play out in courts? What we see are grieving families. We see grieving families that are considering a lawsuit because they want answers. They want accountability. And the liability may rest with the homeowner, it may rest with the parent, it may rest with the hotel owner, and it may even rest with an amusement park. Because as you know, in this tourist destination of Central Florida, we read all too often about children left at the pool areas and that these accidents are happening. So, we hear about the lack of adult supervision in these environments. We know about the requirements of having ladders, particularly under the ADA requirements for those that are elderly or disabled. So, what are the legal issues intertwined in this? Well, number 1, you must comply with Florida law as it relates to residential pools. And if you do not, it is in and of itself a negligent act. If you don't comply with the statute, the law calls it negligence per se, which means the mere fact that there is a law on the books and you don't follow it means that you can be held liable. Not criminally, we already talked about that. We're talking about civilly in a court of law. Number 2, there is a doctrine called the attractive nuisance doctrine, which means a homeowner can be responsible for a child that trespasses on their property, comes onto that property and gets hurt, whether on a pool or playground or trampoline. So even if you do not invite a child on your premises, you can be held responsible because a pool is deemed to be attractive to a young child that may not know better about the dangers that lurk in that pool area. Oftentimes, homeowners have insurance, and that helps add a layer of protection. But the question becomes is how much is enough insurance to cover a loss like the death of a child? So here are just a few recommendations from my perspective. Number 1, comply with the law whether your house is built before the year 2000 or not, because this really doesn't have to do with whether or not you're going to be held criminally responsible for this bad outcome. It's whether or not you're going to be able to live with yourself when a child dies in your pool. Number 2, properly supervise your children both in the home, so that they don't gain access outside and outside the home, so that proper barriers and locks are in place for the pool. The best tip I can recommend to parents is if you're going to have a pool party, if you are going to have a pool party, hire a lifeguard. There's two ways to do that. Number one, you pay for it. It's about $15 an hour. If your party lasts about 3 hours, that's $45. And the last time I did it, we put a jar outside as a tip jar for the lifeguard that was there, and it more than covered the price, and it allowed the parents to enjoy each other and keep an eye on the pool, knowing that there were already 2 eyes on the pool by the lifeguard. I intend on approaching the Orange County schools as well as the private schools to discuss whether or not the high schoolers and the earnings of their community service hours can also be applied to serving as lifeguards for pool parties of younger children. Now, lastly, you may have heard that when a child dies in an apartment complex or dies at a hotel, one of the defenses that gets raised by the hotels is that there is a sign posted that says there's no lifeguard. You swim at your own risk. And that is an attempt by those corporations to avoid their responsibility. At times, people won't pursue a lawsuit because they believe that it's their fault. But ultimately, that hotel, that homeowner, has the responsibility to maintain that safe environment. And you cannot avoid liability by simply posting a sign when the children that it applies to probably can't even read it. So with that, I would like to introduce the next speaker. It's Karen Faust. She is the owner of Precision Aquatics. She has been an infant swimming instructor for 12 years. She's been here in Orange County since 1995, and she will discuss the importance of swim lessons and drowning prevention strategies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last layer is swim lessons. All the other layers are so important and so needed. We did also forget doggy doors. That's one thing that kids can climb through a doggy door, so please secure your doggy door out to the pool deck. If you have your fence and your alarms and all of your other safety measures first, then you need to have swim lessons. And I'm so proud to offer swim lessons here at the Children's Safety Village to help our community learn how to swim. It's important. The other important thing is for parents to learn how to swim. I mean, how many kids know how to swim, but their parents don't? And you know you're going to panic if your kid gets in there, so you want to learn how to swim also. We also offer those lessons. It's very important. Swim lessons. Here at the Children's Safety Village, we offer infant swimming resource lessons, and those are lessons where they learn to self-rescue. So they learn to be calm, to hold their breath, to swim a distance, to comfortably roll and float and breathe, figure out if they want to flip over and swim to the side or get out, or stay in a float. Sometimes in situations in a lake or off a dock, or in a stream or a retention pond, if you don't know what to do, what you want to do is reduce the panic and roll and float. Even as an adult, when you don't know what to do, you want to roll and float. So we're happy to offer lessons that teach that infant swimming resource. We also offer traditional lessons at the Children's Safety Village. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That concludes our event. I'd like to thank all the speakers who came today. We appreciate it very much. And as a strong advocate of what we do here, we hope that everybody will review what we've said and apply that to their home this year so we can have a happy and safe summer. So thank you very much for coming out, and on behalf of the board and the staff here at the Children's Safety Village, thank you.